Hello and welcome to Statescoop TV. I'm Jake Williams. We're here with Michael Cockrill. He's the CIO for the state of Washington and will be for the next 20 or so days.
Just about October 20th.
There you go. So Michael, you're leaving the state. What was your proudest accomplishment in the role, and what do you hope your biggest legacy will be?
I think those are two really different questions.
Sure.
But it brings up a different question somebody asked me one time, which is, actually, it's the same question. It was, what's the legacy? And it's a weird question because I'm just some guy from Yakima. I don't have a legacy. But because someone asked, I had to think about it, and I did, and I thought, okay, well, what do I want to leave the state? And it was clear what I really want is I want to be able to create the context for a durable cultural change. I can't change the culture, but I can create the context for other people to do it from the ground up. And I'm totally convinced that an IT organization has to be in a constant state of change because our customers are and the market is. So if you're not creating a context where change is a normal thing, you're not really doing your job. So hopefully that is the legacy that I have left, is a culture that embraces the ideas that they have to always be learning something new, they have to always be focusing on their customer and getting smarter about how to solve their customers' problems.
It's interesting that you bring up change because the question that I've been asking CIOs all day is this idea of how has the role of CIO changed since you've been CIO? And so I'll ask the same to you. I mean, how did that role change over the time that you held that title?
Well, for me, I came to the role with doing one job, and now I do two very different jobs. And in fact, I really do three jobs today. When I originally came to the role, I was focused on policy and strategy across the 70,000 people in the state. Then I led a reorganization that meant I did policy and strategy, but I also managed the operations of core IT. So that was a huge change. It went from managing 20 people to managing 500 people. But I think probably the biggest change doesn't have to do with the structure. It has to do with moving from basically being support to actually being responsible for issues that are real public policy issues. And I think that's one of the big sea changes that we've seen in maybe the last 5 to 10 years, that there are some technology issues that are also public policy issues, and that hasn't been true in the past. Mostly technology was just in support, but today there are issues that are all public policy. Cybersecurity, digital privacy, the Internet of Things becomes a huge public policy issue, and you mentioned I'm leaving to go work in a lab that does computational biology. They're rewriting the genome. What role does government have in either regulating or not regulating that? It's the CIO and the technologists that work in government that need to be advising the policymakers, the people who got elected, and that has been true for the last 5 or 6 years. Maybe not as, rewriting the genome, but as we see from Equifax and Target and cybersecurity is a public policy issue.
Yeah. And so, with all of that and with all of this experience that you've had as CIO and all the changes that you've seen and all the things that you've gone through, what are some of the biggest challenges and opportunities on the horizon for CIOs? And really, what's next for the people, your colleagues, in that role?
I think that a continuation of what we were just talking about is both the biggest challenge and the biggest opportunity. When I describe what I do, I talk about policy and strategy, I talk about operations, but the thing that is most engaging is I have this rare opportunity to be an advisor to both the legislature and the governor's office about how technology is making changes in society. There's lots of technology advisors out there, but mostly what they advise the policymakers on are economic development issues.
Yeah.
If we invest over here, we'll get more Washington's a big virtual reality state.
Right.
That's what the technology advisors to the governor are doing. Nobody's talking about the ramifications to the citizens of digital privacy, for example.
That's fascinating. And so you mentioned a little bit about your next step, but tell us a little bit more about what's next for you and really what inspired you to move in that direction.
My next gig is going to be, I'll be the CTO for a research lab called Altius, and mainly what they do is computational biology. And what that means in day-to-day life is, I get to tell my mother I'm working on curing cancer.
That's awesome. And what inspired you to move in that direction?
One of the things about moving from being the CEO of a startup to public service was I really got the bug for service. I still get up in the morning and feel like I make a difference in people's lives. It's a supporting role, but
Yeah.
and I think that sort of mission-driven attitude is one of the key things that I've learned about working with people in government. They all have tons of choices.
Yeah.
They wake up every morning and choose service. So as I was thinking about what my next role was, I was looking for something that had those components to it. Not necessarily public service, but that whatever I was working on would make a difference in people's lives.
So last question, if you had one piece of advice for your colleagues, for CIOs left behind, well, what would it be?
Left behind.
Left behind.
I think it's what we've talked about before. Get out of the technology and start acknowledging that it's your role as a CIO to build an organization that can contribute to the larger issues, our public policy issues. IT has always been it's always a supporting role, and it supports feeding babies and building bridges and cleaning streams. It supports the business and the mission of the agencies inside government. Well, at a higher level, the business and the mission of government is good public policy. And historically, IT hasn't played a major role in that. But as technology is changing people's lives all over the place, everywhere from how pervasive that is to the fact there's, every light post out there has a camera on it. And police officers wear body cams, and labs like ours are thinking about rewriting the genome. Government has to decide what role it plays as technology changes society, and it's going to be technologists that help advise the people who got elected on what they should do. So I think that's the biggest challenge, is not just to contribute on an individual basis, but to build an organization that can contribute to that public policy.
Well, that's great. Well, we look forward to seeing what you do next, and keep us posted. And thank you for everything you did, and thanks for being a friend of State Scoop. And we'll see you next time.
All right, thank you. It's a pleasure.
For more about what Michael Cockrill did in the great state of Washington, check out statescoop.com. And for more about what he's up to next, continue to follow us on social media at state_scoop on Twitter, and follow us on Facebook, all over the place. I'm Jake Williams, State Scoop's Associate Publisher and Director of Strategic Initiatives. Here's Michael Cockrill. He's the CIO for the state of Washington. Thanks for watching.